Well, last night, federal opposition leader Anthony Albanese presented his budget reply speech. One of the items to feature in the speech was a startup year plan to help students launch their own startups. To give us his view of the plan is Luke Sheehy, Executive Director of the Australian Technology Network of Universities. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Elliot. Hi, Simon. Good to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. You must be pretty pumped about this. Let's start with you telling us a little bit about what the Australian Technology Network of Universities is and does, because it's a bunch of really cool people with some great accelerators in the program.
Thanks very much. Well, we think we're a pretty cool bunch of universities, actually. So we bring together Australia's innovation, enterprise, and technology focused universities. So that's UTS in Sydney, RMIT in Melbourne, Deakin University in Melbourne and Geelong, University of South Australia in Adelaide, and Curtin University in Perth. So we've been around as a group since 1999, and we focus on technology, links with industry, ensuring that our students have the best opportunities to get into the workforce or become the entrepreneurs of the future.
And so the announcement, just to run people through it if they're not familiar, Anthony Albanese, the opposition leader, in his budget reply, is talking about giving people roughly $11,300 as kind of a course fee through the HELP program in order to study through an accelerator about maybe launching their startups. Now, this isn't going to be a partnership with the universities. Is it too soon for kids who are just kind of, well, I suppose young people to sort of be thinking about starting their own business at maybe 21 when they're just fresh out of university? Or is that the right time to grab them to innovate?
Well, I think, if you take what we do across the ATN universities, we're already training the entrepreneurs from the time they become students with us as undergraduates. And I mean, we look at UTS, for example, over 80% of students are doing internships throughout their courses across all of the disciplines, including law and humanities, and of course the traditional entrepreneurial areas like business and engineering and STEM. So I think this is a really great opportunity and an exciting opportunity for young entrepreneurs who have bright, sharp minds with clever ideas that can be commercialised into the future to have what we call a gap year or an honours year where they're staying at university, having that opportunity to work with our experts, our links in with industry partners already that are on our campuses, and test those ideas and test their entrepreneurial skills. And it's effectively like what we like to think of as an honours year for the entrepreneurs of the future.
Has this been something that's been talked about in the sector for, a couple months or even years at the moment? Was it something, or is it a, innovative idea, dare I say it, from the Labor Party?
Well, everything old is new again sometimes with policy proposals. And of course, we have seen this one before from the Labor opposition. I think it was Kim Carr as Shadow Minister in about 2015, just before we hit 2016 election season, that we saw a policy similar to this. But it was a good idea then, and it's a good idea now. We want to foster the next generation of entrepreneurs. We know so many of them at our universities are already entrepreneurial. Some of the best entrepreneurs that we know of in the tech industry in particular started at university. In fact, some of them didn't even finish university. So we have, with our partners at the University of Newcastle, 300,000 students nearly, and there are nearly 300,000 entrepreneurs that could access this program. And it's fantastic. They're not just going to be able to test ideas and work with academics. They're also going to get mentoring and access our world-class facilities, and that's really important. It's an important incubator. It's an important opportunity for them to learn how to be an entrepreneur, and frankly, to celebrate failure, because those who try something new and it doesn't work, they learn and they get better at it, and that's going to be really fantastic for the Australian economy. The fact that the students can take out a loan to do that, it goes to the university, and the university can provide that environment for them for a year. So we're really excited about it.
Now, of course, Luke, all of this is predicated on the next election and Labor winning that election. A lot of ifs in that plan. But tell us how you guys are going anyway under the current government. There wasn't a lot in the budget for universities. How are you tracking in terms of the innovation and the work that you're doing at the moment? Because it has been an incredibly tough 12 months for the tertiary education sector.
Simon, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a really tough time for us. And, with the borders closing, firstly to China in February last year, and from March this year, we are losing, the opportunity to enrol many thousands of international students, which is an essential part of what we do. Of course, we really value international students as part of our communities on our campuses, and they enrich our experience for the Australian students. They bring international perspectives from their home countries, and they really make an education at our university a global one. But there is a revenue consideration around that, and our universities have lost anywhere between $400 and $500 million in 2020 alone. And that will probably get worse this year if we cannot get the borders open. We welcome the fact that in the budget, the government has indicated that we'll start getting students back as early as this year. But we need to build trust in the Australian community that the vaccine rollout is working, that there's no community transmission, that we have a vaccine passport to bring students back in. So it is a tough time for us. It is disappointing that the government didn't see that in a skilling and human capital budget with a big spend of over $100 billion, that universities didn't get any additional funding. We're hopeful we'll get to see more, particularly in the research commercialisation space later in the year. For ATN universities, we've been strong supporters of short courses, which are smaller subject-by-subject enrolments or 6-month enrolments that students can take who are probably currently in the workforce or looking to change careers. There wasn't additional funding for those. We saw some funding for that last year. We're going to continue to advocate strongly with government. As you said, this startup year policy relies on a change of government at the next election. We're waiting to see when that election might be. You know, I've stopped punting on what the election outcome will be after last year and after a couple of elections overseas where they've gone the wrong way or the other way. So we just have to keep working with both sides, I guess, to get a really good outcome. Universities are a major employer in Australia. They're a major driver of productivity and innovation in our economy. You know, the new Minister for Education and Youth, Alan Tudge, knows that, and he's talking about that. So I'm optimistic that both the Liberals and the Labor Party will have some better and interesting things to say about universities as we get closer to the election.
Well, Luke, in terms of that, as getting close to the next election and working with both sides, what would be your reply to both parties in terms of first needs, not just for universities, but also for the tech sector?
Well, I'd say, you know, in an era where we've deliberately closed down our economy and we've closed our borders, there is always a capital issue. So we need investment in R&D, we need investment in new ideas. That means allowing, and at ATN, we really value and celebrate the fact that we work with the more than 2 million small to medium enterprises in Australia. They have a capital problem at the moment, and they also have a personnel problem. So universities can play a role in that. And I think the government should recognise that there is a need for a capital injection into those new entrepreneurs and new businesses that are looking at new ideas. I think in terms of tech as well, of course, you know, the tech industry needs to be fostered in Australia if we want to diversify the economy. We want to replace the old manufacturing base in some of our southern states with high tech industries and new industries like gaming and creative industries. It's really important. It's expensive. It requires highly trained people, which is also expensive. So, as always, the big ask for government is investment and funding. But for us at universities, it's about ensuring that we're flexible, that we're working with industry and understanding what are the needs and what's coming in the next 5 to 10 years and embracing that. And we see that even with what we do at universities. I mean, we've rapidly moved online, and last year we had to deliver to all of our students online as our campuses closed. So technology is driving everything we do at universities, and frankly, it's transforming what we're seeing right across the economy. So government, universities, and of course the tech industry, small to medium enterprises need capital, they need investment in tech, and they need investment in high-skilled workforce. So that's something that we'll continue to advocate both with government and of course with industry.
Luke, absolutely. Before we let you go, I do want to ask, because you mentioned a little bit earlier, of course, the co-founders of Atlassian met at university. The Canva team were trying to solve a yearbook problem, and look what we have now, one of the great global companies. I do want to ask, as you talk with the other people like Murray Herbst at UTS, do you get a sense that there's a couple of the next unicorns underway at university right now? What are you seeing, and what sectors are exciting you most as they start to build these nascent startups?
Oh, look, there are so many young and amazing people out there at our campuses, but of course UTS comes to mind. I mean, there are at least 400 startup and micro businesses on the UTS campus at Ultimo, and just walking around there and seeing what they're doing. I've always been a big fan of advanced manufacturing. I think Australia should make things. So anything in the high-tech medical space, medical industries has obviously been a focus this year. rapid testing for virus and things like COVID. That's something that excites me, and I can see a lot of that happening at our university. So if we can roll that out at a global scale, then I don't think Australia's future prosperity is at risk at all.
Absolutely, and just a reminder for everyone watching, it was Australian universities and a doctor there who did the genome sequencing that then enabled the vaccines that we now have. So, and chalk up another big win for Australian universities. Luke, great to catch up with you from the Australian Technology Network of Universities. Best of luck, and we'll see what happens next. Stay in touch.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Elliot, and talk soon.